Gilroy Garlic Festival shooting, which I've driven through Gilroy on many of occasions. Well, here, let's watch some of the video here. There was a shooting at the Gilroy Garlic Festival. For anyone not in the know, Gilroy is a town in California where pretty much like garlic is their main thing. Like that's kind of like what they do there. Like garlic, like when you drive into Gilroy, you smell the garlic. I've driven through it a couple times. I've never stopped there. I've always meant to, because you can buy garlic on like the side of the road and stuff like that, and it's the garlic capital. I love garlic. I'm an Italian American. I love my garlic. And I've always wanted to stop there and get some garlic, but I've always had a long drive ahead of me whenever I'd be passing through there. It's a, you know, usually I'd either be leaving or heading back to Los Angeles where I live. So I'd either be heading up to San Francisco or somewhere similar or going back to Los Angeles. So I always had a bit of a drive ahead of me, and I didn't really want to spend that drive with a bunch of garlic in the car. So I never got to pick anything up. But here's some very bad news out of Gilroy.
At the Garlic Festival yesterday. I'm so sorry you had to go through that yesterday. Thank you for joining us this morning. And Candace, let me begin with you. You never expect something like this at this festival. When was the first moment you knew something was wrong?
As soon as we got out of the porta potties, we heard a pop, and right away they said firecrackers, and we turned to our left, and there was a gunman. His gun was pointed to the ground. He was trying to put another clip in it, and then he started walking away toward left away from us and just started shooting, and we ran the other direction.
Did you see?
And it was so scary.
Go ahead. Did you see anybody else with him, that possible second suspect?
No, we only seen the one.
And Cheryl, I know your boss and her husband both got shot in their tent. Do you have any more information on how they're doing?
The last update I got is her husband's in critical condition and she's in stable condition right now. That's all I got. They just got out of surgery at midnight, and they were in surgery most of the evening. But one's in stable and one's in critical condition. It's touch and go right now.
Oh,
basically.
My goodness. So sorry for that. Set the scene of what was going on inside that tent, I guess.
So there you have it, and there's some footage from it. We have yet again another shooting that has taken place. And let me fill you in on what's going to happen next. Now, first of all, some of the statistics here. It looks like there are 3 people dead that have been confirmed so far. And I believe there was a second suspect here. Let me try to get back to the article here. I accidentally closed out of the tab. So they have the suspected gunman. At least 3 people were killed and more than a dozen were injured. That's what we know so far. And here's what's going to happen next. People are going to talk about it. There's a couple politicians and elected officials that are going to say we're demanding gun control now. There's other politicians and elected officials that are going to, you know, utter some cliche about the Second Amendment and utter some other cliche about guns aren't the problem, Nothing's going to happen policy-wise. Absolutely nothing is going to happen. And we'll rinse and repeat this the next time there's a shooting. A little bit of time will go by. Folks will forget about the last shooting. And then we're on to the next one, because at this point, we just accept this as normal. This is just commonplace. And it's like the Onion headline. There's literally a headline in the Onion, and every time another shooting happens, which is constant, the Onion retweets this same article, and the headline is, "There's no way we can prevent this from happening," says country that is the only country where stuff like this happens. I'm paraphrasing the headline. It's a little more, it's a little less choppy than what I just paraphrased, but you get the idea. We don't know how to prevent this, even though we're the only place where stuff like this happens. We're the only place where this amount of mass shootings goes on. How can we stop it? We can't possibly have any type of common sense weapons policy. We can't possibly have a buyback or a registration similar to a car, or regulation on ammo, protections on the amount of guns that can be kept in a home. We can't possibly do anything like that. We can't other countries have figured out we can't do that here. I have no confidence in the world, none, zero, that I will ever see any type of gun policy in my lifetime. I don't think I will. I sincerely hope I'm wrong. I've never wanted to be wrong about anything more in my life. And there's so many things we could do. I've talked about what different plans that are out there in different videos. I laid out a plan, what I would do. I would have extensive background checks. I would have references be required. I would have classes be required. I would have limitations on how much ammo one can have, limitations on what type of guns could be kept in a house versus what type of guns need to be kept at a range. There's so many things where we can do where if you're using a gun to hunt for your food, you can still do that. If you live in a remote area and you want to have something just in case, you can still do that. But there are a lot of protections for everybody else so that guns don't fall into the wrong hands. There's so many things we can do, similar to what Australia has done, similar to what Japan has done, similar to what Switzerland does. We can borrow a little bit from each model. We can have registration similar to a car. And if you're a gun owner out there and you're saying, gee, this sounds pretty extensive, yeah, it is. But isn't that worth it to live in a much safer society? To live in a society where you don't have to worry about your kids getting shot when they go to school? To live in a society where shootings like this aren't commonplace? Where we don't just accept it as normal? Isn't it worth going through the class, going through the registration? Isn't that worth it for the greater good? I think so. But, and if you're listening to what I'm saying and you're like, gee, I'm against everything you just said, you don't need to worry because it's probably never going to happen in this country. Probably not. I sincerely hope I'm wrong. I sincerely hope I'm wrong, but I doubt it. I doubt I'm going to be wrong on this one. And I really want to be. I really, really want to be. It's not often I say I want to be wrong. That's not something people commonly say. But man, I really hope I'm wrong on this one. I really, really do.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your news